In the quiet sprawl of rolling hills, a suburb hugging the edges of Austin, Texas, the Crawford family stood as a beacon of what folks still called the American dream. Their two-story home, red brick with crisp white shutters, anchored a corner lot, an ancient oak stretching its branches over the front yard like a protective hand. Out back, a pool sparkled under the sun, the heart of weekend barbecues where Jake Crawford's smoker churned out brisket and the air buzzed with neighbors' chatter. Jake, a contractor in his early 40s, had built a name with Crawford Construction, crafting high-end homes for tech millionaires fleeing the coast. His wife, Lindsay, pushing 40, had swapped her nursing scrubs for a life of charity drives and PTA meetings, her honey blonde hair and easy smile lighting up every room. With their kids, 12-year-old Mason and 9-year-old Ellie, they were the family everyone envied, a living ad for suburban bliss. Jake was a man carved from hard work, broad shoulders, sunburned neck, a handshake that could crack pecans. He'd grown up in Austin, son of a mechanic, and climbed from swinging hammers to signing contracts. His black F-150 a rolling testament to his grit. A Yeti cooler stocked with Shiner box sat in the garage, his Longhorns cap a permanent fixture. To Rolling Hills, he was proof the grind paid off, steady, reliable, the guy who'd made it. Lindsay softened his edges. She'd traded her ER chaos for yoga pants and a planner, but kept the warmth that once calmed panicked patients. She'd haul trays of pecan pralines to the community center, Mason and Ellie trailing her like shadows, and neighbors marveled at her magic. Lindsay's got that southern charm locked down, Carol Hensley would say over iced tea on her porch. She's the wife every man wants, and Jake's her rock. From the outside, it was picture perfect. Mason, lanky with Jake's hazel eyes, was a slugger on the middle school baseball team, his glove a constant companion. Ellie, freckles dusting her nose, spent afternoons twirling in the yard or begging Jake for pool cannonballs, her pigtails bouncing. Their Instagram glowed, 4th of July fireworks, Schlitterbahn splashdowns, golden hour shots of the kids in the water. Last year's Christmas card, the 4 of them in plaid by the fireplace, had hit every mailbox on the block, a quiet boast of their good life. But beneath the gloss, things were fraying. Jake's days stretched brutal, out before dawn, back after dark, boots caked with dust, too tired to ask Lindsay about her day. He'd collapse on the couch with a beer, the TV flickering, while she'd stopped waiting up, her evenings spent alone on the patio with Pinot Grigio, cicadas droning in the dark. He's building our future, she'd tell herself, staring at the pool's blue glow, but the phrase felt like a worn-out script. She missed the early days, lunch dates at downtown food trucks, dreaming over tacos about the house they'd buy, the kids they'd raise. Now, success had stacked a wall between them, brick by brick, and Lindsay felt it pressing in. The neighbors didn't see. The Crawfords were untouchable, a family that had it all. But inside that red brick shell, the quiet was growing louder, and Lindsay wondered how long she could keep smiling through it. Winter brushed Rolling Hills with a rare chill, the oak in the Crawford yard shedding its leaves as a new figure rolled into the picture. Ethan, Jake's younger brother, pulled up one afternoon in a rattling Chevy Silverado, guitar case and duffel bag tossed in the bed like relics of a life half-lived. Mid-30s, leaner than Jake, he shared the same hazel eyes but wore them with a scruffy beard and a faded Waylon Jennings tee that smelled of Nashville dive bars. He'd spent years chasing a music career that never took flight, only to wash back to Texas after a divorce left him broke and rootless. Just need a crash pad till I get sorted, he'd told Jake over a scratchy phone call, and Jake didn't hesitate. Blood was blood, and he'd always had a soft spot for his dreamer sibling. Lindsay was on board too. She'd met Ethan at scattered holidays years back, remembered him strumming Johnny Cash on the porch while the family argued over football scores. It'll be good for the kids to have an uncle around, she said, already picturing him tossing a ball with Mason or teaching Ellie a chord. He arrived with a grin and a six-pack of Lone Star, kicking off his boots by the door like he'd never left. Mason and Ellie mobbed him. Did you meet Taylor Swift? Play on stage, and Ethan spun tales of smoky bars and near misses with record deals, half true and fully charming. Jake clapped him on the shoulder, handed him a beer, and said, "Good to have you back, man. Stay as long as you need." Lindsay threw together chicken fried steak and mashed potatoes, the kind of meal that said home, and by nightfall, Ethan was sprawled in the guest room, guitar propped against the wall. He fit in fast, like he'd been part of the rhythm all along. Late mornings, he'd brew coffee and chat with Lindsay while she packed the kids' lunches. PB&J for Mason, turkey for Ellie. He'd drive Mason to baseball practice when Jake was stuck late, his truck blasting classic rock loud enough to make the neighbors smirk. Ellie trailed him around the house, begging for Sweet Home Alabama, until he'd cave and strum it on the couch, her giggles filling the space. He's like a big kid himself, Lindsay told her friend Tara over coffee at the local diner, stirring sugar into her mug. It's nice having someone around who doesn't treat life like a checklist. But Jake's days didn't bend to the shift. Construction season kept him chained. Dawn departures to beat traffic. Dusk returns with sawdust in his hair and exhaustion in his bones. He'd stumble in, too wiped to notice the way Ethan's laugh echoed through the house, or how Lindsay's eyes lingered a beat too long. She'd ask Ethan to grab groceries with her at HEB, and he'd toss in a bag of tacos for the kids, joking about living off them in Tennessee. They'd linger in the kitchen after dinner, washing dishes while he spun stories of bar fights and busted gigs, his voice cutting through the silence Jake left behind. Lindsay started looking forward to it, the ease, the lightness, like a crack of sunlight in a house that had felt dim too long. Guilt flickered, sharp and quick, but she brushed it off. He was family, she told herself. Just family. Still, as winter faded, the Crawford house felt less like a fortress and more like a stage, the curtain trembling before the next act. Spring bloomed in rolling hills, bluebonnets popping along the highways, the air thick with cedar and possibility. But inside the Crawford house, something quieter was taking root. Ethan had been there a month, his duffel still half unpacked, his guitar a living room fixture, his presence a hum beneath the daily grind. Jake was a phantom, out before sunrise, back after the kids' bedtime, his F-150 a fleeting shadow in the drive. Lindsay kept the machine running. Mason to baseball, Ellie to dance, dinners on the table. But Ethan was the wild card, stirring a pot she hadn't meant to open. It started small, the way trouble often does, and she didn't see it coming until it was too late. One morning, she was rinsing coffee mugs when Ethan wandered in, hair mussed, offering to help with breakfast. "You don't have to," she said, but he was already cracking eggs, humming some outlaw tune she couldn't name. They talked, light stuff, like whether Whataburger's honey butter chicken biscuit beat In-N-Out's double-double, and she laughed, really laughed, the sound bouncing off the cabinets like it hadn't in ages. Later, she asked him to tag along to HEB. "Need an extra set of hands," she said, casual, but the way he grinned and grabbed his keys sent a jolt through her she didn't expect. The trips became routine. Twice a week, they'd pile into her Suburban, Jake's truck too sacred for errands, and head out. At first, it was just milk and bread, but soon they'd detour to a dive-off Bee Cave Road, a no-frills spot with chipped mugs and sticky tables. They'd split a cinnamon roll, talking over coffee, him about Nashville open mics, her about nursing days she'd half forgotten. His hand brushed hers reaching for the sugar, and she didn't pull away, neither mentioned it. Back home, the lines softened more. One night, kids asleep, they watched a Longhorns game Jake had taped, her with a glass of Pinot, him with a Lone Star. The TV glowed, but their eyes kept drifting, his crinkling when he teased her team loyalty, hers lingering when he stretched out, all lean and easy. "You're trouble. You know that," she said, half joking, and he smirked. "Only if you let me be." The air thickened, but she blamed the wine. Then came the cover. She dug out an old Visa gift card from a drawer, a leftover from some holiday haul Jake didn't track. It paid for coffee, gas, little things that stayed off their joint account. Ethan caught on. He'd slip her a 20 or pay with crumpled bills, calling it keeping it off the grid. One afternoon, he tossed a cheap flip phone on the counter, a gas station burner. "Easier than explaining texts to Jake," he said, and she stared, heart thudding, before slipping it into her purse. The first message came that night, "Coffee tomorrow?" And she deleted it fast, palms sweaty. A few weeks in, they crossed the line. A grocery run stretched into lunch at a taco joint 30 miles out. Picnic tables under live oaks, no one to recognize them. They sat close, knees brushing, and when he wiped salsa off her lip with his thumb, she froze. The kiss came quick, lime, heat, regret, and she whispered, "We shouldn't." But her hands were on his shirt. Back home, she'd lie awake, Jake snoring beside her, guilt clawing sharp and cold. But the pull was stronger, his laugh, his touch, the way he saw her when Jake didn't. She told herself it was nothing, a spark, not a fire. But in the quiet of that red brick house, with the pool shimmering outside, that spark was catching fast. Spring deepened in rolling hills, the Texas air heavy with pollen and promise, and the Crawford house pulsed with a secret rhythm Lindsay couldn't quiet. Ethan had been there months now, his Silverado a driveway staple, his guitar strumming through the evenings. Jake's absence stretched, dawn to dusk on construction sites, his truck a ghost in their lives, leaving Lindsay and Ethan to orbit closer. The affair had flared after that taco joint kiss, turning reckless, quick meets in the Suburban behind an old barn, late-night tangles in the guest room while Jake slept upstairs. She covered tracks with that Visa card, gas, motel rooms with flickering neon, while Ethan texted from his burner, cryptic like, "Oak, 2 p.m. She'd delete them, heart racing, but a darker secret gnawed at her, one she hadn't breathed to anyone. It went back a year, before Ethan's truck rolled in. Jake's late nights had started to sting, and Lindsay had slipped, a fling with Trevor, an ER nurse from her old shifts. He was cocky, charming, a 3-week blur of stolen lunches and one stupid night in his apartment. No protection, just wine and desperation. She'd cut it off fast, buried it deep, but the fallout came later. Weeks of dragging, exhaustion, aches she blamed on stress, pushed her to a walk-in clinic, cash under her maiden name. The call came flat, HIV positive. Start treatment now. She sat in her car in the HEB lot, numb, the world tilting. Pills came next, antiretrovirals in a plain bottle, stashed in a tampon box under the sink, Jake none the wiser. She'd Googled obsessively, how long till symptoms? Can you transmit on meds? The answer's murky, but she convinced herself she was safe. Viral load low, no need to tell. Not Jake, not Ethan, not her sister who'd pry too hard. It was her cross, her silence. With Ethan, she didn't hold back. Their meetups grew bold, once in the pool house while the kids were at a sleepover, water lapping as they tangled on a futon. She'd watch him after, his chest rising, and feel something. Need, maybe love, but the HIV shadowed every kiss, every touch. She told herself he'd be fine. She was fine, the meds her shield. "You're quiet today," he said once, sprawled on a motel bed, fingers on her arm. "Just tired," she lied, forcing a smile. He didn't push, and she didn't confess. The Crawford house still gleamed, red brick, white shutters, pool a perfect blue, but inside, the air thickened with lies. She'd sit across from Jake at dinner, his tired eyes on his plate, and wonder how long she could juggle it all. Ethan would brush past in the hall, hand grazing her hip, and she'd forget to care. Once, in a motel off I-35, he'd pulled her close, whispering, "You're all I think about," and she'd almost told him. Almost, but the word stuck. Guilt was a stray dog, snapping at her heels, but the thrill drowned it out. She was trapped, the life she'd built buckling under the one she was breaking, and the secret in her blood was a ticking bomb she pretended wasn't there. Outside, spring bloomed on, oblivious to the rot taking root within those walls. Summer blazed into rolling hills, heat rippling off the streets, the Crawford pool a magnet for neighborhood kids splashing away the days. Inside, the facade held, Jake hammering at sights, Mason swinging bats, Ellie cartwheeling, but beneath, it was crumbling. Ethan had been there 5 months, his truck a permanent fixture, his burner texts to Lindsay a lifeline she erased fast. Their affair burned hot, motel rooms off the highway, pool house nights when Jake was out cold, but something was shifting. Ethan felt it first, a slow creep he couldn't shake, and it was about to blow everything wide open. It started subtle, a fever that wouldn't quit, fatigue that dragged him down even after sleep. He'd pop Advil, chug Gatorade, blame the Texas sun or the warehouse gigs he'd picked up. Lindsay noticed. He'd doze off mid-chat, his usual fire dimmed, but she didn't press. Weeks in, it worsened, night sweats soaking his sheets, a cough rattling his chest, 10 pounds melting off without effort. "You look like hell," she said one afternoon, handing him sweet tea on the patio. He smirked, "Just need a beer and a nap." but his eyes were sunken, his voice thin. She let it slide, too scared to dig. Late summer forced it out. Ethan hauled himself to a free clinic in East Austin, too stubborn for Jake's insurance, too broke for anything else. The nurse drew blood, ran tests, and called him back. He sat in a chipped chair, AC buzzing, as she slid the paper across. HIV positive. His gut dropped. How? He croaked, but the pieces slammed together. Clean ex-wife. No hookups since moving, just Lindsay. The room spun, the nurse's spiel about treatment fading as he gripped the armrests. He stumbled to his truck, sun blinding, and drove straight to the Crawford house, fury boiling over. Jake was at work, the kids at a pool party. Lindsay was in the kitchen, chopping peppers, when Ethan burst in, face pale and raging, slamming the test result down. Did you know? Her knife froze, the lie she'd rehearsed dissolving. She trembled, voice breaking. I found out months ago. I'm on meds, I thought it was safe. Safe? He bellowed, stepping close. You thought screwing me and not telling me was safe? You infected me, Lindsay. You've killed me. She sank against the counter, sobbing. I didn't mean to. I didn't know I could still. Bullshit. He swiped the paper to the floor, fists clenched. You knew and hid it. I trusted you, my brother's wife, and now I'm dying because of you. She clutched the counter, tears streaming. I was scared, Ethan. I didn't want to lose you, or Jake, or lose me. His laugh was sharp, bitter. You've lost everything. I'm telling Jake. He deserves to know what you are. He turned for the door, but she grabbed his arm, desperate. Please, don't. We can fix this. He shook her off, eyes cold as steel. There's no we anymore. You made damn sure of that. He stormed out, the screen door slamming, his truck peeling away as she stood amid the peppers, the weight of her choices crashing down. Outside, cicadas droned on, deaf to the ruin unfolding in that red brick shell, the bomb she'd carried finally detonating in her hands. Dusk draped rolling hills in a soft orange glow, the Crawford house standing quiet, its pool still as glass, but inside, the air crackled with a storm about to break. Ethan had left Lindsay in the kitchen, her sobs echoing as he sped off, the crumpled clinic paper burning a hole in his pocket. He drove straight to Jake's latest site, a half-finished ranch near Dripping Springs, dust kicking up around his Silverado as he pulled in. Jake's F-150 sat by a lumber pile, and there he was, hard hat on, barking orders at a crew framing the roof. The sun dipped low, shadows stretching, when Ethan climbed out, voice cutting through the saw's whine. Jake, we need to talk. Now. Jake turned, wiping sweat, grinning until he saw Ethan's face, pale, furious, eyes blazing. What's up, man? You look like death. Ethan didn't answer, just paced to a lone mesquite tree, Jake trailing with a frown. Read this, Ethan said, thrusting the paper at him. Jake squinted, HIV positive, and his grin faded. What the hell is this? It's me, Ethan said, voice cracking. I've got it. And I got it from Lindsay. Jake's face went slack, the paper trembling. What are you saying? I'm saying your wife's been sleeping with me for months. She knew she had HIV, knew it, and didn't tell me. She infected me, Jake. The words hit like a sledgehammer. Jake stared, then at the paper, then back, willing it to be a lie. You're full of it, he growled, low and rough, but Ethan pulled out the burner phone, scrolling to texts, flirty, dirty, damning, and shoved it in his face. Look, dates, times, proof. She's been playing us both. Jake's jaw tightened as he read, each message a stab. Meet me at 2. Miss you. Jake's out late. He dropped the phone in the dirt, fists curling. You son of a bitch. My brother. I didn't know till today, Ethan snapped. She lied to me too. But yeah, I slept with her. I'm not proud, but she. Shut up. Jake snarled, stepping close, breath hot. You don't get excuses. Ethan didn't flinch. Hit me if you want. But you've got to deal with her. She's poison. Jake's fists twitched, but he turned, chest heaving, and grabbed his keys. I'm going home, he said, voice flat with rage. He floored it back to rolling hills, leaving Ethan under the tree, the crew's stairs burning holes as the dust settled. The drive was a blur. Highway, suburbs, his hands white on the wheel, mind replaying Ethan's words, the texts, the betrayal slicing deeper with every mile. Lindsay knew he was coming. She'd tossed the peppers, scrubbed her face, but her hands wouldn't stop shaking. The kids were still at the pool party, thank God. When Jake's truck roared in, she was on the couch, burner phone clutched like a lifeline. He burst in, door slamming, eyes wild. Is it true? He demanded, voice a growl. She nodded, tears spilling. Jake, I don't. He cut her off, throwing the paper on the coffee table. You slept with my brother. Gave him HIV. What the hell are you? She stood, reaching, but he backed off, disgust twisting his face. You've destroyed us, Lindsay. Everything gone. The room shrank, the truth a live wire sparking between them, ready to ignite the whole damn house. Night fell heavy over rolling hills. The Crawford house a silent tinderbox under the Texas stars. Jake loomed over Lindsay, the clinic paper on the coffee table, his fury a living thing. The kids were at a pool party, a fluke that spared them the chaos about to erupt. The pool outside shimmered, mocking the wreckage inside. You gave him HIV, Jake growled, voice low and lethal. What are you? Lindsay stood, shaky, tears streaking. Jake, I didn't mean. Don't. He slapped the paper down, stepping closer. You don't get to talk your way out. You've destroyed us, everything I built. She trembled, words tumbling. I was lonely, Jake. You were never here, and Ethan, he saw me. I didn't know I'd hurt him. Hurt him, he roared, grabbing a lamp and hurling it at the wall, ceramic exploding across the hardwood. You screwed my brother and gave him a death sentence. You think that's just hurt? She flinched, voice small. I'm on meds, I thought it was safe. Safe. He laughed, a jagged, broken sound. You knew you had it and hid it, from me, from him, from our kids. You're a coward. She backed into the couch, pleading. Think of Mason and Ellie. We can fix this. Therapy, anything. Fix it. He stepped closer, towering. You think I'd let you near them after this? You're poison. You killed my brother, and you were gonna let me live like some fool. It spiraled fast. She lunged, grabbing his arm. Don't take them from me. I love you. He shoved her off, hard, and she stumbled into the coffee table, glass cracking under her. Love? He spat, looming as she scrambled up. You don't know what that means. She swung then, a desperate slap across his cheek, and something snapped. Jake seized her shoulders, shaking her, roaring. You don't get to play victim. She clawed his arms, screaming, I didn't mean it. His hands slid to her throat, fingers tightening, her gasps turning to gurgles. She thrashed, nails digging, but his rage was a furnace. Years of late nights, her silence, now this. Her eyes bulged, then dulled, body slumping as he let go, staggering back. She crumpled, neck bruised purple, arms splayed like a broken doll. Jake sank beside her, rasping, Oh God, what did I do? The room spun, the pool's glow seeping through the blinds, a cruel contrast to the blood on her hands from the fight. Outside, Carol Hensley heard the crash, the shouts, the scream cut short. She dialed 911 at 7:02 p.m., voice shaking. Something's wrong at the Crawfords. Hurry. Police rolled up at 7:18, lights flashing against the brick. They knocked, got silence, and pushed in. The living room a war zone, glass shards, overturned furniture, Lindsay dead. Jake hunched beside her, muttering, She killed my brother. She killed us all. The officer's body cam caught it, his words a confession as they cuffed him, face blank with shock. Sirens wailed, swallowing the suburb in a night that wouldn't fade. Weeks later, rolling hills lay hushed, the Crawford house a hollow shell, red brick dulled, pool murky, shutters peeling. Yellow tape lingered on the porch till someone cut it down, but the stigma stuck. Ethan didn't make it long. Pneumonia hit hard, his HIV-ravaged body giving out in a hospital bed, guitar untouched. Jake, in cuffs, got a last visit, wordless. Ethan rasped, I'm sorry, and Jake nodded, eyes red, before they hauled him back. The brothers' bond, shredded by betrayal, dissolved in silence. Ethan's ashes scattered near Lake Travis by a cousin, no fuss, just wind. Jake's trial was a circus. Travis County Courthouse packed, locals gawking at the man who'd built their homes now facing murder. Prosecution pushed first degree, citing the disabled cameras, Lindsay's doing, Jake unaware, but the defense leaned on insanity, affair, HIV, a brother's death sentence. He lost it all in a day, his lawyer said. Who wouldn't break? The jury gave second degree, heat of passion, 15 years, parole after 10. Jake stared at the floor as they cuffed him, sentenced under a judge's stern gaze. Mason and Ellie landed with Jake's mom, Diane, in a modest Austin ranch house, 12 and 9, too young to process, too old to escape the scars. Diane tried baseball, dance, but they were quiet, clinging to each other. Neighbors brought casseroles, then faded. The house wouldn't sell, price slashed, but Murder House stuck. Talk radio chewed on it. HIV laws, a felony in Texas if you don't disclose, trust fragility, while health folks preach testing. Mason and Ellie became Diane's shadows, the suburb moving on, eyes avoiding that corner lot. In prison, Jake, now a number at Huntsville, wrote once, Diane reading it through tears, I failed you all. Didn't see the rot, till it was too late, and rage finished it. I hope my kids understand, even if they can't forgive. The Crawford tale lingered, a crack in the suburban myth, a warning that perfect homes hide rot, and when it breaks, it takes all. Rolling hills shone on, but that red brick shell stood as proof. Trust can kill, and betrayal cuts coldest in the places you call home.